Oh my gosh. Yo. Yo. Motherfuck. Okay. 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 Oh, fuck. Bitch. Bitch. Okay. All right. So basically, okay.
But then as time went on, especially looking at life through the lens of a kid, I was like, oh, it's kind of crazy how different life is when you start to have money, right? Look, I got to speak. Started to notice that that feeling that you are working poor. That doesn't mean that you work a part-time job while mom and dad cover 100% of your expenses. Okay, that feeling you have when you're working poor is that like, why does nothing seem to go right for me? Everything seems to go better for people in different positions. The reality is that's not true. Everybody has about the same amount of luck. The problem is that when you fuck up when you're working poor, it's gonna fuck you way harder. And when you fuck up when when you're
Yeah.
it doesn't fuck you up basically at all.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's whatever. So as my life started to change, once I started to make money from streaming, I was like, okay, well, this seems like kind of bullshit. I feel like life was significantly harder before this. I don't know how fair this is. So my politics start to kind of like shift to the left as time goes on. I don't know what you call me by.
All right. This is gonna be the new. Not bad. Okay. Fuck me. I know I can do that, but that's not really. Interesting. $1976. He's 23. So what is it? Circle V? Oh shit. How do I? Oh, is it? Wait a second. Control tab. Oh. Control Shift tab. Okay. Enter the banking and finance sector. Working at Bear Stearns. I've seen calls even least. Yes. I've seen calls even at least social pukered.
Jeffrey Epstein went to jail just before 10 this morning. He pleaded guilty in open court. He agreed to serve a total of 18 months in the Palm Beach detention facility, 12 for felony solicitation of prostitutes, an additional 6 for procuring persons under 18 for prostitution. The conviction stemmed from several incidents from August of 2004 to October of 2005. The prosecuting attorney would not say how many female victims there are. He would only say there was more than one adult victim and more than one underage victim. After 18 months in the Palm Epstein will serve another 12 months house arrest at his Palm Beach home. The 54-year-old will be confined to his home except for work and other activities approved by his probation officer. In addition, Epstein will serve 12 months of community service at his own nonprofit, the Florida Science Foundation. He has to stay away from minors. The guilty plea and deal in the years process that could have sent him to jail for 15 years.
It's a long process. There were a lot of considerations made by the state, having victims testify, and their feelings regarding that, embarrassment to them, which might have not. So it's just been a long time resolving. So that was an appropriate resolution.
Within 2 days of his release, Epstein will have to register as a sexual offender. It's a designation he'll have to keep for the rest of his life. In the newsroom, Michelle King, News Channel 5.
Billionaire New York businessman whose vast wealth brought an arrogance that knew no limits. Damn the consequences, he acted as if he could have anything he craved. But what he desired most was sex with young women and girls. For years, he abused them at will. And such were the numbers of victims Epstein exploited, he started trading them around the world. He masterminded a sex trafficking ring which enabled his rich and influential friends and associates to share in his perversion. Remarkably, those accused of complicity in this scandal include His Royal Highness, Prince Andrew. Tonight you'll hear shocking stories from very brave women demanding justice. Among them, Virginia Roberts Giuffre, who stumbled into a dark and insidious world she had no power to escape until she found sanctuary in Australia. Today, this opulent Manhattan mansion sits empty, abandoned by its owner, the disgraced and now dead Jeffrey Epstein.
It's hard. It's really hard being back here.
But Virginia Roberts Giuffre is determined that Epstein's terrible secrets will not be buried with him.
Being a kid, I didn't even really realize what world I was being brought into.
The world within these walls was inconceivable. A horror house of sexual abuse and international sex trafficking.
I was abused by people that I can't even mention here. There's a lot of scars hidden behind those walls. It should be ripped down. It should be burned to the ground. Some of my worst memories are from this place.
Some is when the testimony about to give away the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you get.
Yes, I do.
Jeffrey Epstein led a privileged life, his extraordinary wealth on show around the world. He had his own fleet of planes, a private island, ranches and mansions, Mexico, New York, and Paris. But in private, Epstein had a dark and insatiable sexual appetite for young girls, an obsession he shared with like-minded wealthy and powerful friends.
The people that were involved with Jeffrey Epstein included some of the richest, most politically powerful people in the world.
including a member of the British royal family. Standing accused is the Queen's second son, Prince Andrew. Virginia, who now lives in Australia, says she was trafficked to the Duke of York when she was just 17. Prince Andrew denies any wrongdoing, any knowledge of the Epstein sex ring, but Virginia believes he should be punished. Do you think Prince Andrew should go to jail?
Yes, I think Prince Andrew should go to jail. I mean, is he ever going to? Probably not.
Tonight, inside the Epstein scandal, how the powerful protected Jeffrey Epstein.
They had enough evidence to lock him up for decades, and yet they essentially let him go.
And betrayed our most vulnerable. Do you have any idea of how many victims are out there?
I would say it's in the thousands. I mean, he was literally doing this for over 20 years.
As a young child, Virginia's life was all about horses and climbing trees, more a tomboy than a princess. But then at 7, she was repeatedly sexually abused by a family friend. By 13, she had fallen victim to 2 other pedophiles.
My life just changed and it diminished that light that was in me.
At 16, Virginia was emerging from the darkness, landing a job as a locker room attendant at an exclusive resort in Florida. But what Virginia couldn't know was that in 1999, her past would make her perfect prey for Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's partner and procurer of young girls.
She just seemed very nice, and she said, I've got a person that I know who's actually looking for a traveling masseuse. And if you want, I can get an interview with him. He likes you, we can get you educated, you'll be a real masseuse. And you'll get to travel and see the world. And you know, like, she made it sound like it was a dream come true. And it wasn't.
Instead, it was a trap. But trustingly, Virginia told the couple
With him. He likes you, we can get you educated, you'll be a real masseuse. And you'll get to travel and see the world. And you know, like, she made it sound like it was a dream come true. And it wasn't.
Instead, it was a trap. But trustingly, Virginia told the couple of her past abuse. This was as Ghislaine was teaching her how to massage Epstein here at his Palm Beach Island home.
That was, for them, the key that unlocked the door to knowing how broken I
How quickly did they act on
was. Well, we'll put it this way, we did the back of him, we did the back of Epstein, and then when he turned over, that's when I was instructed to that's when I was instructed to get undressed and then was protected.
You were abused.
And Epstein.
At 14, I was still in middle school. I was straight A student, never even got a B. I played the first chair trumpet. I was the captain of the cheerleading squad. And then after I met Jeffrey, I just completely quit.
This is when you were living for a while.
Yes, this is where I was living with Jeffrey Epstein.
Courtney Wilde was just 14 when she met the 48-year-old Epstein in 2001. At the time, she was living in this trailer park, one of West Palm Beach's poorest communities. Do you believe that Jeffrey Epstein targeted areas like this?
Yeah, definitely targeted, children like myself that were vulnerable to him and his money, and we felt like we were being helped and saved by him, and ultimately he was just preying on us.
Just 12 kilometres away, another world awaited Courtney, the luxurious Palm Beach Island home of Epstein. She was brought here by another 14-year-old to make much-needed cash. What were you expecting to happen? Why did you think you were coming here?
Well, I knew that I was coming here to give a guy a massage and to make $200. I did know that. It was never told to me that I would be molested by this man or anything like that.
Inside, Courtney very quickly discovered the massage was just a cover for something far more sinister.
We were taken upstairs. It was like a circular stairwell that led to a hallway that led to his bedroom, which the massage table was in his bedroom, bathroom. He asked us to get comfortable, to just, take our clothes off, to be in our bra and panties.
Were you abused during that session?
And so we would massage him for about 30 minutes. Then whenever he was ready, rolled over and asked the person that brought me to go downstairs and wait. And once that happened, then that's when the sexual abuse happened.
You're 14 and completely... How did you react?
I just remember afterwards how I felt walking down the stairs, and I just felt so dirty and so just like a piece of me had been taken. Dirty. I felt it was like my dirty little secret,
Jeffrey Epstein was the master of manipulation, luring poverty-stricken girls in with cash and feeding their dreams of a better life. By the time the sexual abuse began, many were too invested in his promises to get out. So I have to ask this. Why did you...
As an adult, I know it's right to run, but a kid who had been through what I had been through in my life already, I guess the last thought that I had was, well, life's about.
Epstein's desire for sex was insatiable, demanding at least 3 different girls a day to massage him, and in return, be molested. In a perverted pyramid scheme, Epstein would pay extra for his victims to find more girls for him. Younger, the better.
You could tell his addiction was in drugs or alcohol, definitely young girls. And if I couldn't bring him a girl when he didn't get his obsession, he'd get so mad.
Girls he brought to Jeffrey.
I would say at the minimum 50, but anywhere from 50 to 70 girls.
What were their age?
The same ages, 14, 15. I just hold a lot of guilt and doing those things, and just to know I had any influence on the 70 girl, minimum 50.
How many girls do you...
Bring him a girl, or alcohol, it was definitely young girls. And if I couldn't bring him a girl when he didn't get his obsession, he just would get so mad.
Girls do you think you brought to Jeffrey?
I would say at the minimum 50, but anywhere from 50 to 70 girls.
What were their age?
The same ages as me, 14, 15, 16. I just hold a lot of guilt and shame for doing those things, and just to know that I had any influence on that happening to somebody else, just, it really devastating and breaks my heart.
You just know anybody's real true age, or you didn't care?
These are just some of the girls in Palm Beach who were lured into Epstein's evil.
Kathleen, take my shirt off.
Their young voices retelling a police officer of chillingly similar encounters with the businessman.
touching himself.
Despite these girls' testimony in 2005, Jeffrey Epstein would go on to abuse and scar countless more young girls. That he got away with it is a disgrace. How he did so is even worse.
Why did this man roam the streets freely and sexually abuse other young girls when you knew what he was doing? This was no secret.
Coming up,
There were girls as young as 12.
more depravity.
Every place that he goes to, he's already got people lined up and makers making that happen.
Epstein's international sex trafficking,
This is a real photo.
and how a British prince, how many times were you trafficked to him,
3 times.
is implicated in a shameful scandal.
At a minimum, he's a witness. At some point, he's going to have to face them.
That's next on 60 Minutes. Jeffrey Epstein was a man worth nearly $1 billion. But with friends in high places, not only wealthy, but extraordinarily influential. He was a sex trafficker, a sex abuser, and he was virtually untouchable. One of his young victims, Virginia Roberts Dufresne, experienced and witnessed too many times.
This is New York. This is Palm Beach, California. This is Paris. This is London. This is wherever Epstein was touching down. He needed to have those on constant. In every single state or every place that he goes to, he's already got people lined up and makers making that happen.
Allegedly, part of the sick Epstein machine was Jean-Luc, a model agent based in Paris with access to beautiful young girls, girls he was happy to deliver to Epstein.
Girls ranged in all different ages. Girls as young as 12.
You have that he
I was told that he was 3 12-year-olds sent by Jean-Luc Brunel. And Jeffrey, he laughed. He thought it was fun. I was told by him that he was having sex with 3 12-year-olds.
girls he was happy to do Paris with access to was Jean-Luc Brunel.
Jean-Luc Brunel. He's what is he? Hello?
A model agent based in Paris with access to beautiful young girls, girls he was happy to do.
I was told. He laughed. He thought it was funny.
This is not just a story of terrible sexual abuse, but also an extraordinary abuse where the enormous wealth and influence of Jeffrey Epstein would prove to have the ultimate say, where justice was not just ignored, but deliberately denied by the very people who were meant to stop him.
Every single institution in our society is supposed to protect the vulnerable. Fail these.
David Boies is one of America's most prominent New York lawyers. He's representing 9 Epstein victims, including Virginia, in their fight to hunt down those who were a part of Epstein's sex trafficking. Scope and scale of those who have been America's most prominent New York lawyers. He's representing 9 Epstein victims. Prominent New York lawyers.
Oh, yes.
He's representing is one of America's most prominent New York lawyers. He's representing 9 Epstein victims, including Virginia, in their fight to hunt down those who were a part of Epstein's sex trafficking ring, the scope and scale of which is mind-boggling. For all the wealth and glamour, the beautiful mansion, gorgeous eye, tawdry, this was dark. This was very ugly.
It's a dark, ugly situation. And behind the facade, charm, sophistication, train over rock. See the thing.
Within 9 months of meeting Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, Virginia was being flown halfway around the world to have sex with Epstein's wealthy associate, a little girl amongst a sea of men.
I was a baby stuck in a world where grown-ups were allowed to do whatever they wanted, and I was lost.
Trafficked
After that point,
And so began Virginia's new life.
Oh, with this K.
Still on call for Epstein, but also for any friend he chose.
I was trafficked to other billionaires. I was trafficked to politicians, professors, even royalty. It was the elite of the world. It was who run the world, powerful people in the world.
Why do you think Epstein did that to you?
He used me as a form of blackmail. So people would owe him favors. So I wanted to owe him just in case.
Virginia has named trafficked to in documents lodged with the courts. The name that has caused the greatest splash is Prince Andrew. The pair captured in this now infamous photograph taken 2000. So as you know, Prince Andrew denies the allegations, and he says that this photo is a fake, that he was never there, and that he's not his, and they're not his fingers.
Those are his fingers. That is Andrew. This photo has been verified as an original, and it's been since given to the FBI, and they've never contested that it's a fake. And I know it's real. And he needs to stop with all of these lame excuses. We're sick of hearing it. This is a real photo.
First time.
And that's the very first time I met him. And that's right before I was abused by him.
Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell took the 17-year-old Virginia to London to party with Prince Andrew.
We went pub tramp, and that's a lot. And then get in the car. Elin tells me in the car that I have to. What I do. That's what.
How many times traffic? While Prince Andrew denies the allegation, Virginia maintains she is telling the truth. After the encounter in London, she says she had sex with him again at Epstein's new mansion, where she was seen by this witness, Joanna Schoberg, another victim. Schoberg claims Prince Andrew groped her breast that night. The final time Virginia was respect to Prince Andrew was here on Epstein's private island in the Caribbean. Just you.
younger. I believe there were with Prince Andrew. You're not even acknowledged as being alive there, important, cared for, or worried about. Anyway, none of those humans attached to me, and I.
About your emotion when you learned after the first time to happen, third time, what was your reaction to
Disgusted every time. Absolutely disgusted. There wasn't one time that I was trafficked to any individual that I thought, oh, he's an okay guy. I was always disgusted that there are so many people involved in this highly organized sex trafficking operation.
Prince Andrew denies Virginia's allegations?
Prince Andrew says he was unaware. Days. Epstein's could not spend.
Lawyer David Boys has written Prince Andrew asking for his side of the story with no response. But whether it's voluntary or forced, David Boys is certain Prince Andrew will have to answer for his friendship with Epstein.
At some point, he's going to have to. At some point, he's going to have to. He can't hide.
Are you sure about that? I mean, he's a very powerful man, very powerful, and it doesn't seem like the UK authorities are at all interested in this.
No, and if he wants to stay, locked up, travel outside, maybe he can escape. Can't travel to the without being prepared.
Is that the case right now, that he can't go to the United States
Well,
without?
he can come to the United States, but if he comes to the United States, he can be served with a subpoena.
Could be, but
Yes,
will he be?
I think that's quite likely. I mean, at a minimum, he's a witness. Even if people were not suing him directly, at a minimum, he is an important witness. I think if he came to the United States now, it is quite likely that
Coming up,
We were able to amass a whole wealth of evidence. We knew it all.
Jeffrey Epstein exposed
Is it true, sir, that you have what's been described as an egg-shaped penis?
the power and influence means
Started with the secret plea deal that Jeffrey was offered.
there's no stopping.
The directive to shut down KPI's and HBC.
This money bags monster.
People need to be held accountable. It's not okay to sexually abuse anybody.
That's next on 60 Minutes.
How did you come back with your money?
Jeffrey Epstein could have been stopped a decade and a half ago. His murky massage ruse, enabled by inducement and intimidation, was uncovered when a 14-year-old victim finally told her parents about the abuse. For this alone, he could and should have been sent to jail for life. But no one counted on the reach of Epstein's influence.
We had no idea who the person was at the time, anything about him. We advised her that she needed to go to police and to tell her story to police.
Palm Beach lawyer Spencer Cooven was shocked by what police uncovered back in 2000 after raiding Epstein's home. It wasn't just one girl. In the end, they had testimony from 40 victims whose average age ranged from 13 to 16.
We were able to amass a whole wealth of evidence. We knew it all.
Amongst them were damning men showing trade in young girls, scheduling them for massage.
He has a teacher for you to teach you how to speak Russian. She is 2 times 8 years old, not blonde. Lessons are free, and you can have your first today if you call.
As well, flight logs showing girls being transported aboard Jeffrey's private plane, dubbed the Lolita Express. As compelling as the case was, Epstein fought back, using intimidation as his main weapon.
And multiple people that were out there really digging up dirt on not only the victims, but also the lawyers, the police, everyone involved.
Have you ever come across something before?
Never.
Getting investigators to investigate investigators?
Everybody. Yep.
Did it work? Scare people away?
Yeah, definitely worked. Sadly. This is a man that's now dead, and they're still afraid to come forward.
But ultimately, there was too much evidence for authorities to ignore. They had to act. But Epstein, with an army of lawyers,
negotiated a slap on the wrist and a slap in the face for victims. Instead of admitting to child sex abuse, Epstein agreed to plead guilty to a lesser charge of soliciting a minor for prostitution, and in 2008 was sentenced to a mere 18 months in a Florida jail.
They basically turned victims into prostitutes. These were girls with absolute...
As compelling as the case was, Epstein fought back, using intimidation as his main weapon.
And multiple people that were out there really digging up dirt on not only the victims, but also the lawyers, the police, everyone involved.
Have you ever come before?
Never.
Getting investigators to investigate investigators?
Everybody. Yep.
Did it work? Scare people away?
Yeah, definitely worked. Sadly. This is a man that's now dead, and they're still afraid to come forward.
But ultimately, there was too much evidence for authorities to ignore. They had to act. But Epstein, with an army of lawyers, negotiated a slap on the wrist and a slap in the face for victims. Instead of admitting to child sex abuse, Epstein agreed to plead guilty to a lesser charge of soliciting a minor for prostitution, and in 2008 sentenced to a mere 18 months in a Florida jail.
They basically turned victims into prostitutes. These were girls with absolutely no history and no past. Ran them that. The plea with him was just, for lack of a better term, disgusting.
He was a pedophile, accusing his victims of being prostitutes. Turn the tables.
Yes. Absolutely.
This is where Jeffrey Epstein served his sentence, but really, he only slept here. If Epstein had been an average sex offender, he would have automatically been denied work release. But instead, being Epstein, he was allowed out, and then 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, driven by chauffeur to his downtown office, where it said he was attended to by 2 young victims he flew in from New York. Back here at the jail, the special treatment extended to being housed in his own private wing, protected by his own private bodyguard. So for Jeffrey Epstein, it was pretty much business as usual.
Throughout this whole case, there's never been justice, and it started back in 2008 with the secret plea deal that Jeffrey was offered by the state of Florida.
Apart from his light prison sentence, no one knew what else Epstein had negotiated in his secret Florida deal. It turned out he wrangled full immunity against any other charges for himself and his co-conspirators. The final outrage, victims like Courtney Wild were never to be told of the deal. How about that?
To be sexually abused by a man, have the government know, and then actually, co-conspire with the perpetrator, make sure nothing happens to him. It's just it just sounds unreal.
Except it is real.
Except it is real. Right.
I think the government.
Money, power, and I think that there was a lot of people involved in this. This underage minor sixth ring that they were running. And
That's insane.
I think everybody wanted it to go away.
They believe that there was a conspiracy.
Oh, absolutely.
The view of the authorities to that. They're happy to protect the perpetrator at the cost of the victims. They won't even tell the victims.
It was astonishing at the time, but I know for a fact that the directive to shut it down came from the highest levels from DC.
With Epstein out of jail and with no criminal avenue to them, victims could only sue for damages. In pursuing Epstein, attorney Spencer Cooven was intent on rattling the businessman.
Give us your name. Jeffrey Epstein.
Who, until now, had been largely untouchable.
Is it true, sir, that you have what's been described as an egg-shaped penis?
The killer first question. What was your second question?
Well, my strategy at the time was I wanted him to know that as a lawyer on behalf of the victims, I didn't care who he was, or how rich he was, care who he knew, or how powerful he was.
Was that question based on?
It was. My position was always, how would a 14-year-old girl know what his private parts look like? You know, there is no valid explanation for something like that. And as a lawyer on behalf of victims,
The killer first question. What was your second question?
Well, my strategy at the time was I wanted him to know that as a lawyer on behalf of the victims, I didn't care who he was, or how rich he was, care who he knew, or how powerful he was.
Was that question based on?
It was. My position was always, how would a 14-year-old girl know what his private parts look like? You know, there is no valid explanation for something like that.
At the time of this humiliation for Epstein, Courtney Wilde was demanding answers too, which led to her uncovering the secret deal between prosecutors and Epstein. Ever since, she's been fighting to have the deal overturned.
Basically, it took 11 years litigating back and forth with the government for them to, finally declare that, yes, my rights were violated and the government was wrong.
Earlier this year, Courtney won her case, keeping the plea deal from the victims declared illegal. But the rest of it, where Epstein's co-conspirators are protected in Florida by immunity, stands, something Courtney is now appealing.
Justice needs to be served. People need to be held accountable. It's not okay to sexually abuse anybody. And so for the past 11 years, I've just been fighting to get that message across that it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter if you have money or not. You don't deserve to be treated that way. Do you feel big?
So why are you crying?
I know. I do finally feel like I'm being heard, and it's a good cry, and I take pride in that because it's intimidating to go against somebody of such power and wealth. But yeah, I do feel like my voice is being heard.
Coming up,
People who should have known, just let him continue.
freed from prison
There was no way he was just going to stop. He wasn't just going to go home and not do that.
and reunited friends in high places.
They both think that they can get away with everything.
But the women who suffered
I expected it from a man, but I didn't expect it from a woman.
refused to surrender.
We need to find Glenn. She has no shame. She has no heart.
She can't hide out there.
That's next on By 2000, Jeffrey Epstein had served his sentence in Florida, an extraordinarily lax and lenient 13 months, when he could have faced 5 years. With his luxury properties and private planes, he travelled when and where he wanted. And old friend Andrew reconnected with him, despite his sex offender status. What do you think when you see
Of a like mind. Both love having sex with young women. They both think that they can get away with everything, that they're above society. A long time, Jeffrey was. He proved it, didn't he?
Virginia Roberts Dufresne says she was a victim of both men. Her lawyer, David Boys, says she was also a victim of a system prepared to let Epstein get away with it. The secret sweetheart deal in Florida, proof that these young women counted for nothing.
That's one of the most disturbing and really painful things. That people who should have known better, didn't know better, turned blind. Just let them continue.
But Epstein didn't count on the anger of his victims. When they found out about the secret deal, they took further legal action, which in turn led to the federal authorities reopening the case. What Florida didn't have the stomach to do, New York certainly did. And so on July 6th of this year, Jeffrey Epstein was again arrested and charged. But this time he faced the prospect of life behind bars.
Never thought it was going to happen. I honestly thought he was just going to continue to get away with it over and over and over again, just like he proved so many times. So yeah, it was like Christmas in July.
Billionaire financier Jeffrey Epstein was in court today for allegedly engaging in sex trafficking crimes.
Curious, are these charges against David?
Armed with fresh allegations, victims, authorities charged Epstein with child sex trafficking and conspiracy to engage in sex trafficking. Raids on his home in New York and uncovered hundreds of sexually explicit CDs, photographs, many of underage girls. It looked like the game was up. But Epstein pleaded not guilty and applied for bail, which was denied after the court heard from two victims, including Courtney Wild.
The fact that I had an influence on him remaining behind bars was just like so powerful for me, because if anybody knows that man the way I do, there was no way he was just going to stop. He wasn't just going to go home, not do that.
Lived the high life, but died race.
Just a month later, for the final time, Epstein proved he would not be held accountable for his terrible crime. Found dead by suicide in his jail cell. But how he managed that in such a place is a mystery. His shock death raising he was a man who knew too much.
Incomprehensible how American prison system could, with probably its highest profile, take him off suicide, remove his cell, not have the guard look in on it. Somehow the cameras. That's just incomprehensible. On the other hand, it's inconceivable to me that somebody could have penetrated the prison and killed him.
Do you believe that if he had lived, the justice system would have been able to hold him?
Yes, absolutely. And the reason I think that suicide is plausible, I think he knew he was going to very long.
Today is day of power, strength.
Epstein's death did not silence him. They were invited to share their pain in open court, even though with his death, the criminal case against him had to be dropped.
I won't stop fighting. I will never be silenced until these people are brought to justice.
Their focus now is on prosecuting Epstein's alleged co-conspirators. Ghislaine Maxwell, considered the most prominent and cruel.
I don't mean to say any way. I expected it from a man, but I didn't expect it from a woman. And
Ghislaine Maxwell was a London socialite and daughter of disgraced media baron Robert Maxwell. On her father's death, she moved to Manchester to join her boyfriend, Jeffrey Epstein, and according to lawyer Sigrid Macaulay, became his full partner in the sex trafficking.
Certainly, I would like to see her being held criminally accountable for what she did. She was an adult. She was an active participant. She facilitated it for years and years. She took money from it.
If she is held accountable, what is she facing?
She would be facing something that would not release her.
So is it a matter right now that no one knows where Ms. Maxwell is, or is she hiding out somewhere? Or?
Well, she's clearly hiding out. We don't know where she is. Maybe prosecutors don't. She can't hide out forever.
The other person gone to ground is Jean-Luc Brunel, the French model agent who is also accused of sexual abuse and supplying Epstein with underage models who were conveniently housed in and trafficked from this New York apartment block, not far from the mansion. This apartment block, women on had girls on.
he had girls on tap. Jeffrey told me that he has slept with over 1,000 of Jean-Luc Brunel's models/victims.
You believe that?
I do. We need to find these people, and we need to hold them accountable. We need to find Ghislaine. You know, the world should be looking out for her. She has no shame. She has no heart. She has no conscience. There is no stop.
Coming up,
It wasn't until they told me, I want you to have a baby.
Virginia's dramatic escape
You cannot say no to these people.
to Australia,
I implore the community to please stand next to me to start holding these monsters accountable.
and why death is not the final chapter
If I were one of those people, I wouldn't think, well, because it's going to all come.
in the Epstein saga.
There will be lawsuits against his estate, lawsuits against the enablers, and hopefully criminal prosecutions.
That's next on 60 Minutes.
Promise you carrots. They don't ask questions, and they don't judge you. They just want to be loved back.
Virginia Roberts Dufresne has found freedom and shelter in Australia. She lives in Far North Queensland, a world away from Jeffrey Epstein and his sex trafficking.
I get the way of life, and I prefer it here. I feel safer here. It's been the place that taught me how to live again.
From 16 to 19, Virginia was at the mercy of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, entrapped by psychological chains that could not break until they made this outrageous proposal.
So I spent years with being manipulated and abused and used. It wasn't until they told me, I want you to have a baby and we're going to give you an allowance, but we also need you to sign a piece of paper that says this child does not belong to you. And, you know, I wasn't a maternal person back then, but I was
Bro,
like, my
what?
mom is not a person. But, so I said, okay, guys, but I need to finish off my education like you guys originally promised.
Remarkably, Epstein agreed, paying for Virginia to study massage in Thailand. But, as always, there was a catch.
They sent me to a Thai massage school, but not only that, I had to be in Thailand to be a victim. I was supposed to bring another victim home.
Instead, Virginia met this man, Robbie.
Looked over my shoulder. Butterflies and is it? That's the one. Yeah, right off the bat, I just knew. And then I had to work my magic.
His magic worked. After 3 days, he proposed. After 10, they were married. How could you both be so certain of each other? Such a short amount of time.
Yeah, that's the magical question. You just know.
Personally, I knew he was the one who told me the people that are abused. It's not right. And you don't have to live like that. He was the first person to tell me that. That's when I knew. I knew I'd be with this man forever.
Robbie brought Virginia to Australia, where they're now raising their 3 young children. Their love story stronger than ever, 17.
I just wanted to start
Holy
living
shit.
life off. So I was grateful just to get out alive and have a happy life.
Get out alive. What made you feel alive?
The abuse. It was physical. It was very physical.
She took to like, she's the one I learned how to trust again. She's my little warrior.
How would you describe this?
Brave, powerful, survivor.
Do we yet know young women are the survivors of Epstein?
We don't really know. We don't know how many actually have overdoses, all the other things happen to vulnerable children, that kind. Tragic, the survivors, but it is even more tragic.
Virginia's lawyer, David Boys, says amongst the well-heeled and well-connected here in New York, nerves should be running high.
If I were one of those people, I wouldn't think, well, because it's going to all come. You don't know when. You don't know how. You got to worry that somebody's going to talk.
And certainly there is more legal action.
There will be lawsuits against his estate. There will be lawsuits against the enablers. Hopefully there will be criminal processes that will help vindicate them. So I think all of those avenues remain. We are pursuing those literally as we speak.
Jeffrey Epstein's death is not the end of the story. There are so many others who still need to be held to account. And so the victims suffering in silence. Virginia has set up a foundation to reach those wounded women and children and to ultimately stop sex trafficking. What is it that drives you today, Virginia? Is it sadness, anger?
It's a responsibility in my eyes. Of course, there is sadness, there's anger, there's scars that will never heal, ever. But to me, more than anything, the ability that I have. And I implore the community to please stand next to me, help me bring down all these bad people. And if you've got somebody in your life that's doing this to you, speak out. The times are changing as they should be. And it's a good time to start putting these monsters.
Hello, I'm Tara Brown. Thanks for watching. Keep up with the latest from 60 Australia. Make sure you subscribe to our channel. You can also download the 9Now app for full episodes and other exclusive
appreciating in value so insanely rapidly. There's no reason not to go out and buy one. That is, even if you couldn't afford it, it didn't matter because you know that the cost of that house would double or triple, and you could just sell it or refinance it or do a home equity loan or whatever and pay for your payments that way, right? Relatively troons, so trans people, who will soon be giving the Destiny threat a deep playoff run at scoreboard. We love October baseball, folks. The Troons, by the way, are unsurprisingly undisturbed by Destiny being a pedophile rapist. A pure coincidence. The two remaining populations that still love and defend Destiny are the deranged, drug-addled freaks who are fixated on childhood, genital identity, and Jeets whose national pastime is leaving raped women to die in a ditch. Sorry, these are merely a needful rapes. Destiny, stop, misstar, Trump, star. This is, I think, at like advanced level Indian racism. I don't actually know that. But I digress. Destiny gets pleasure from his Discord, conveniently serving a dual purpose: surrogate parenthood and a vector to sexually traumatize his son over and over by trannies, Nazi pedophiles, his father openly attempting to sexually humiliate his rape victims into silence, and videos of his own father sucking a stranger's HIV+ cock. He doesn't even have to switch platforms to parent, sexually abuse his son, or rape mentally a women-based cinema. Yes, Nathan was at risk of being physically molested, as opposed to merely virtually molested, as he is now. While in the presence of his father at home, Destiny's actions allude to this. He was close to his son until around age 7 to 8, when he suddenly abandoned him. Goes and see a lot of crazy shit. So, for an example, and I mean, like, this is like one of, bro, my IQ firm says almost 2,000 pages. Like, just to give like an example, kind of like the stuff that I'm to ground it out a little bit. So this is like a fun poster of mine. This guy obsesses a lot of my life. You can go back through his posts and see a lot of crazy shit. Here's a post by this wonderful guy, Cloudy2. The raped faggot Destiny separated himself from his son because he was finding himself sexually aroused in his prep. Shortly after abandoning him, Destiny remarked under a suicidal dose of mushrooms that his favorite thing to talk about was Nathan. Curiously, he had to stay away from him, Destiny, one of his final vestiges of humanity before casting himself into the abyss of drinking, cum, and raping. Of course, this glimmer of humanity had to come to his not part would have best still the one of his son, who might sexually abuse his son and be witness to his traumatization would be to accept his own trauma. It is such crass references to a child destiny else. Who would be else? All the sincere attempt at psychology, this is like attempting to move Mercury into retrograde by pure force of will. On my Galileo shit, please observe. So we have, I'm not actually sure what this is supposed to represent. Resentment towards the unraped son, pedophile, rapist, abandoned son, faggot, short, an edgy guy maybe. Rape is in here too, rejection, he's very ugly, unloved, short, okay. I'm not 100% sure what this is supposed to be about, but okay. Would it not be more clear? There is no sky. Just fuck Discord up is because an odd post on this form about me, okay? Like, unironically, like, this is not like an odd post on this clear. There is no tone. I'm not 100% sure what this is supposed to be about, but okay. Would it not be more clear? There is no self. Okay, like, I could finish reading it. Like, this is not like an odd post on this form about me, okay? Like, unironically, this is not an odd post on this. The reason why I bring this up is because a lot of the stuff that you see coming from, say, like, Gisticle's Discord server, oh, fuck, I should have. If you're one of the people that feed me info from here, fuck, I would greatly appreciate if you send these. You don't even have to. But, like, this is one of the reasons why you'll see a lot of this rhetoric amplified from Gisticle's Discord server because me, like, raped, or Destiny the raped one. He is mirroring a lot of the language that's coming from Kiwi Farms, and then the other people in there do that, and then that up to other places, and then yeah, clear when it doesn't hit excellent people on Kiwi. So this is talking about, remember, because anybody, so this is like all of that. Now they're raising things. Old guys. We're so this like very weirdly, obsessively plays into this. He does it a lot with Ethan too, where if you watch Ethan's content nuke, but generally all Donna said,
was friends who, yeah, during Birthright, brought in a bunch of, notice they were all really, really looks maxing.
Mike,
we had a podcast together. But we no longer have a podcast.